Putin's victory cult is pressing him to act quickly. The Kremlin clock continues to tick away. The 9th of May, the pinnacle of Russia's official military calendar, is quickly approaching. The military will march briskly across Red Square, followed by the rumble of terrifying weapon systems, some of which may actually be operational. The bluster is in honor of the 78th anniversary of the victory over Nazi Germany. Recent victories are harder to come by. They are conspicuously absent from the Ukraine war, Russia's most serious military engagement since 1991. The rise of Russian influence in Africa, led by the contract killers Wagner Group, has been the only bright spot of late. However, the Kremlin's rose-red walls are unlikely to resound with a resounding "Ura" in response to that misfit crew of mercenaries. The head of the Wagner Group is also not a fan of the Russian military or its government. Their recent performance in Ukraine has been criticized by Yevgeny Prigozhin. "We've transformed the Russian military, the world's second largest, into what exactly? The devil knows. If we can't handle the tiny Ukraine, what hope do we have? Everything is a shambles and no order can be found. There's a paranoid disconnect between what's happening in the trenches and what the generals in charge know and think about. The army has everything it needs, but it has no control over it. Therefore, Russia is on the verge of catastrophe. We have to stop assuring the public that everything is fine when it isn't." It's true that Prigozhin serves his own purposes. He is pleading for more supplies to help his troops in their protracted and fruitless assault on the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut. There is reason to suspect that he has higher ambitions than serving under Putin, as he finds it interesting to consider the possibility that Wagner Group, if better supplied, might turn its guns on the Russian leadership. But his outburst brings up a valid point. The West is overly concerned with Ukrainian policymaking. When do we go on the offensive? What will be its top concern? Is there enough of both stocks and training? Have we spent too much time and money protecting Bakhmut? Just what does it mean to be successful? What are the real and potential repercussions of failure? These are all valid concerns, and it's true that military defeats for Russia would strengthen the West the most. It's also true that the bigger picture needs to be considered when addressing these questions. The strategic calculus would have been different if the West had done more earlier. Providing fighter planes would make a difference right now. The Kremlin's decision-making, however, is the much more difficult question. Is Vladimir Putin starting to lose control? Are Russian generals taking unnecessary risks because they feel pressured to win by May 9? What does Prigozhin think the Russian people think? What is the status of Sevastopol's fuel storage tanks after recent attacks, likely by Ukrainian drones? Keep in mind that, for the time being at least, Ukraine does not need to retake Crimea. All it has to do is make life there unappealing for the average Russian citizen. This means that the 2014 Great Peninsular Trophy is now a hostage situation. Russia is becoming an increasingly closed society, making it difficult for journalists to report there. Reporters from the West working inside Russia are putting themselves and their informants in danger. Ukraine is a much more accessible topic to write about. However, news stories do not have due dates. Ukraine's armed forces continue to grow in size, professionalism, and capability. There are, to put it mildly, some strategic disagreements in Russia. If Prigozhin is correct, then their situation is even more dire. Kyiv and Moscow are not only on opposite sides of the globe, but also have different decision-making processes. Putin, trapped in the echo chamber of his own rhetoric, is in a rush. The Ukrainians, however, are not nervous because they know they will win. So, adjust your watches in accordance with Kyiv's time. They provide accurate timekeeping. Europe's Edge is a quarterly online publication by CEPA that examines pressing issues in European and North American foreign policy. Authors' views are their own and do not reflect those of their respective institutions or the Center for European Policy Analysis.